All right. We start with the tongue. So that's the tongue, and the back of it, you see the rounded papillae. That's the circumvallate, just like in the cat. Okay, he's making faces at me. All right. So that's the epiglottis, which in this other model, that's the epiglottis, and the opening that you see over there, that's the glottis. Okay. On this side, you can see the larynx as the thyroid cartilage and cricoid cartilage. And the extension of that, that's the trachea.
Is the thyroid cartilage the largest one?
Yeah.
Yes, the thyroid is the superior. Oh, it's the superior one and it's the biggest, and then the cricoid cartilage is inferior and smaller.
Which, okay.
Yeah. All right. So like I said, you don't need to know nasal conchae and stuff like that, but the hard palate is the anterior part. The soft palate is just the muscle, which is at the back. So that's the soft palate, the hard palate. The nasopharynx, that's the nasopharynx. Again, the tongue. And the salivary glands, that's the parotid salivary gland. And this one is the submandibular salivary gland. Okay, so there's only two that you need to know: the parotid and the submandibular. So again, on this model, that's your thyroid cartilage, the bigger one. The smaller one is kind of covered by your thyroid gland, which is the cricoid cartilage. And the structure with blue lines, that's the trachea, oops, out here, and then the left and right bronchi. Then you can see the extension of the esophagus, so that's the esophagus, which is behind the trachea for the most part, but here, once the trachea splits, you can see the esophagus. All right, so down here in the abdominal region, that's the diaphragm, separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. Just remembered, forgot the lungs. Okay, so those are the lungs, the right lung and the left. The right has the three lobes. What's that?
Superior, middle, inferior.
Yeah, superior, middle, inferior, and this one is just superior and inferior. Right. Okay. So you come to the abdominal cavity, that's the liver, and you need to know the lobes in the human. What's that lobe?
The lobe.
Yeah. What's that?
The right lobe.
The right, because it's on the right. Okay, so that's the right lobe. The left lobe, and in here, the long, small one, chordate, and the four-sided one, that's the quadrant. Okay, so you need to know the four lobes. What's that? Okay, that's the gallbladder. You also need to know that. All right, so you come to the stomach. So that's the stomach again, greater curvature, and lesser curvature on the inside. Okay, so greater curvature, lesser curvature. You can see the lesser omentum. These are the remnants of the greater omentum, which in this model you can actually see. So that's the greater curvature, and this is the greater omentum. The junction between the stomach and the small intestine, you can see the ring of muscles, which would be what? Okay, pyloric sphincter. So that's the pyloric sphincter. And inside of the stomach, you see the ridges, which would be the rugae. Okay, so those are the rugae in the stomach. Okay. All right. So this is the continuation of the pyloric sphincter, which is the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. What's that organ there?
Pancreas.
Pancreas. The pancreas usually is right below the stomach, because your stomach sits like that, so it's kind of right below it. So that's the pancreas. Drains into the duodenum, the digestive juices. This is the small intestine. Like I said, externally there's not much difference between the the three parts, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. But you can tell that on the left side that's your jejunum, and on the right side that's your ileum. The ileum then joins the colon. So on the left side that's your jejunum, and on the right side that's the ileum. So this is your ileocecal junction where the ileum joins the colon. And if you open that, you can actually see the valve. So that's the ileocecal valve. Just like in the cat, the little overhang, that's what? That's the cecum. In human beings, you also have a thin extension of the cecum. Appendix, yeah. So which would this be? Ascending, because the foot goes up, and then the foot goes right across.
Transverse.
Okay, that's the transverse, and then descending, sigmoid, and then in there you have the rectum. Okay, you can remove that so you can see. What's the glands on top of the kidney? Adrenal glands. So those are your adrenal glands, and these are the tubes that drain the urine from the kidney to the bladder. So those would be what? Ureters, and that's the urinary bladder. What's that?
Spleen.
That's the spleen. Okay, so that's the spleen. Do you forget anything else on this model? Any question on any of that? All right, so we do the reproductive system. Okay, so we're going to start with the female. Okay, so I'm going to do the cross section of that. Okay, so the external structures, the big lips, labia majora, and then the smaller inner lips, labia minora. So labia majora, the bigger structures, and labia minora, inner, smaller structures. What's the equivalent of the penis kind of anterior over there? The clitoris, all right? So that's the urinary bladder. So that would be what? That urethra, okay? And this is the uterus, the muscle, the ring of muscles that seals it, yeah, that holds it closed. That's the cervix. What would that be? That's the vagina, okay? Okay, I don't know, you can see that? Okay, the uterus is held to the body wall by this ligament, which we call what? The round ligament. And that's the ovary there. And it's also held onto the uterus by a ligament. We call that what?
Other ligament.
The ovary is held onto the uterus by ligament, the ovarian ligament. Okay. So there's a ligament, yeah, that holds the ovary to the uterus. That's the ovarian ligament. Now, over the ovary, fimbria, which are finger-like structures that are extending from the infundibulum, which is a widened part of your oviduct. So that's the oviduct. Then it widens here to form the infundibulum, and then you have the fringe finger-like projections at the end, which form the fimbria. Ta-da!
Is the broad ligament on the bottom?